Today we're going to go over how to write and solve two-step equations. An equation is made up of basically three parts. You have your total amount, you have the one amount or the fee or the starting or beginning amount, the thing that happens just one time, and then you also have your repeated amount, the per, every, each time. This amount will have the variable next to it. The variable means the x. So in our example, we have 5x, that's the repeated amount. So to help you realize, I'm going to show you by highlighting the repeated amount, and that's number 3. The one-time fee, that's what stands alone, so that's number 2. And your total is on the other side of the equal sign. That's number 1. It's always in the form mx plus b equals y. So that's the last part, equals y. So over here on the other example, the repeated amount, again, it's with the x, the variable. The sign before it goes with it, meaning right here, this negative, it means negative 2.5x. Then we needed the one-time amount. Wrong thing. Need the highlighter. We need the one-time amount, which is right here. And then we also need the total, which is on this side. And remember, it's always some way, shape, or form, y equals mx plus b. Okay? And here's the plus b. Our first example says Jasmine's cell phone company charges her $35 a month for phone service plus 50 cents for each text message. Each is a very, very important word right there. How many text messages does Jasmine send in a month if her bill was 52? Okay, so that tells us that we need y equals mx plus b first, just to get us our form. The y is our total. So I'm going to highlight what the total is. Okay, so our y is the total, and that's going to be 52. The m, that stands for, in my opinion, multiple. Okay, the thing that happens more than once. So that would be how many text messages she does. So that would be the 50 cents. Let's use a different color. 50 cents for each. That's what tells us what m is. And then b is the starting or the one-time fee, the thing that just happens one time. So the cell phone company charges her $35 a month. Okay, 1 month. So now we need to plug in the numbers that we have. So we know that y, wrong color. We know that y is 52. That's our total. The m is 50 cents, so 0.5. The x stays the same, plus our one-time fee of 35. So now we need to solve the equation. So just like we learned in the last video, we draw a line down the equal sign. We have to take care of the thing that doesn't have an x. So since 0.5 has an x, we have to take care of the 35 first. So with that being said, we are going to subtract 35. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other. These cancel out. We have 52 minus 35. You can't do 2 minus 5, so you have to borrow. This becomes 12. This becomes 4. 12 minus 5 is 7. 4 minus 3 is 1. We're going to bring this straight down, 0.5x. So 0.5x really means 0.5 times x. So what we're going to do is do the opposite of that. So instead of multiplying 0.5 times x, we're going to divide by 0.5. So divide by 0.5. Divide by 0.5. What we do to one side, we do to the other. So the 0.5s cancel out. And then we have to do top in, bottom out. So T-bow, top in, bottom out. So the bottom is the outside, which is 0.5. The top is 17. We can't ever have a decimal outside of the division sign, so we have to move it over once. What we do to the outside, we do to the inside. So we'd move it over once here. Since there's a space empty, we add a 0. So our new division would be 5 divided by 170. 5 goes into 1, 0 times. 5 goes into 17, that would be 3 times, which is 15. Subtract to get 2. Bring down our 0. 5 goes into 20, 4 times. So what that means is she sent 34 text messages that month to make her bill $52. So 34 would be X. All right, here's our second problem. Number 2 says Caroline's Coffee Shop sells a refill mug for $8.95. Each refill cost $1.50. Each is a very important word, so let's underline it. Last month, Sam spent $26.95 on a mug and refills. How many refills did he buy? So what we need to do, always start off with y equals mx plus b. Let's go through and use our highlighter to draw out some of these numbers. So y, I'm going to put as our total. So y is the total. It says right here, spent $26.95 last month. Next thing I'm going to look at is the thing that happens multiple times or more than once. Okay, that is told by each, every, or per. So each refill cost $1.50. And the last one is our one-time fee, the thing that happens just once. And that's her buying the mug. So she has to buy the mug one time, and then the rest of the time she just gets to do a refill. And now we can plug in the numbers that we know. Our total, 26.95 equals 150 X, that doesn't change, plus $8.95 for our starting. Now we get to solve this just like normal. Draw a line down the equal sign. Again, we start with the thing that is not have the X with it. So since 150 has the X with it, we have to start with $8.95 first. So this is plus $8.95, so we're going to do minus $8.95. We do the opposite. What we do to one side, we do to the other. This side cancels out. We got to subtract over here. 5 minus 5 is 0. 9 minus 9 is 0. 6 minus 8 we can't do, so we have to borrow. This becomes 1. This becomes 16. 16 minus 8 is 8. And 1 minus nothing is 1. So we end up getting 18. Now we're going to bring down the 150 X. And so since we are multiplying right here, 1.50 times X, we have to do the opposite of that, meaning divide. So 1.50X, we're going to divide by 1.50. What we do to one side, we do to the other, 1.50. The right side cancels out right here. We're just left with X. Over here, we have to divide. Again, we're doing T-bow, top in, bottom out. So the top is in, and that's 18. The bottom is 1.50. We have to move the decimal so that we can not have it on the outside. So move it over once. Move it over again. So that now is 150. We do the same thing to the inside. So that would be 1 and 2. Add zeros for the space fillers. So now we have 150 divided by 1800. 150 goes into 1 0 times, into 18 0 times, into 180 once. So we subtract. We get 30. Bring down the 0. 150 goes into 300 twice. And that's perfect. So last month, Sam had 12 refills, so 12 equals X. Alright, we're going to go over number 9 now. Number 9 says Jacob scored 4 goals in his first soccer game. Then he scored the same amount of goals in his next 3 games. If Jacob has 10 goals total, so that's an important word, it tells us our total. How many did he score in each game? So we always start out with y equals mx plus b. That's our equation form. And then we have to fill in what we know. So we do know he scored 10 goals total. So that's our total. Need the highlighter. 10 goals total. So we can put a 10 right there. We do need to find the rest of the information though. M stands for the multiple times, more than once. So if we read, Jacob scored 4 goals in his first soccer game. So that's just one game. Then he scored the same amount of goals in his next 3 games. So 3 games is more than 1. So that's our more than once number. So next 3 games, he scored the same amount of goals. So the same amount of goals means that's the X, because we don't know that yet. But we do know 3 games, so 3 would go where the M is. So this would become 3X. Then we have to find the one-time thing. The one-time thing would be the 4 goals. Need the highlighter. The 4 goals. Because that's just his first soccer game. That's one game. So this would be plus 4. Now we need to solve our equation. We draw the line down the equal sign. We have to start with a thing that is not x, or does not have x. So we have 3 times x plus 4. The plus 4 does not have the x with it. So we're going to start by minus 4. What we do to one side, we do to the other. These 4's cancel out. 10 minus 4 is 6. We bring down the 3x. Now we have to do the opposite of 3 times x. The opposite of 3 times x is divide by 3. So instead of x times 3, it's divide by 3. What we do to one side, we do to the other. So these cancel out. Then we have 6 divided by 3, which gives us 2. So x equals 2. He scored 2 games, or 2 goals for those 3 games.